Welcome back. So what we're going to do now is fix the finale based on the problems that we found on part 1. We're not going to recap part 1, so click on the box to watch it and then come back here once you're done. So how do we fix the finale? This is where you come in to correct the finale and give it the emotion that it deserved to organically build up those tears that we're looking for. I want you to imagine that you're a writer and you've been tasked with the responsibility for writing the finale for The Big Bang Theory. How will you approach it differently? Well, I have a few ideas, however, please don't hesitate to join me. Write your suggestions in the comment below as to how you would have written the finale. I can't wait to read them. We will be rewriting the finale, but we won't be making major structural changes to the show in its entirety. We'll keep all the major plot lines that the writers have already introduced. However, we will move some events around while building those storylines to tie up those loose ends we discussed earlier. There are 3 important things that we need to establish in our finale. First of all of the events of the original finale, the Stockholm Syndrome, will get moved to part 1 in order to allow part 2 to tie up the loose ends and help the audience understand why the show is coming to an end. We'll likely increase it to a 30-minute episode. Secondly, Sheldon cannot be our main focus. Our finale needs to focus on the entire group. Every single character was a crucial part of the show. The finale needs to be about them as much as it was about Sheldon. The events of the finale should only take place because each character drives the plot forward. Therefore, as mentioned earlier, Sheldon's Nobel Prize win will be moved to part 1 so we can focus on the rest of the cast and their individual stories. Added to that, the episode cannot be in Sweden. We can't spend a chunk of our finale in a foreign environment as it will make us feel disconnected. Our episode needs to be much more self-contained in familiar surroundings such as the apartment, Celtic's cafeteria, and so on. We'll be seeing these places for the last time, so secretly, deep inside, we will be saying goodbye to them. Finally, we need a big shift in the group dynamic that will shock the audience. We need to break the group up. We need to give the viewer a clear understanding of why the show is coming to an end. Just like the Modern Family and Fresh Prince scenes where everybody explained why this big family dynamic will be broken up. While painful, this ultimately makes it easier for us to understand that everyone has found their own path. They've grown up, they've outgrown this place. This will make it easier for the audience to understand why the show cannot go on any longer. Ready? Here we go. Cold open. After the Nobel Prize ceremony, we catch up with the guys in Sweden with their wives, getting up to all kinds of mischievous activities while enjoying the rest of their vacation. Then, intro. The first act. The gang arrives home and their world starts unraveling. In our finale, the gang arrives back on home soil to a hero's welcome for Sheldon and Amy. Having Sheldon speak to the reporters will showcase his growth because previously, Sheldon panicked when people acknowledged and congratulated him. But since giving a speech after his award in Sweden, he has faced and conquered that fear. While at the airport, Sheldon and Amy get a call from a Harvard representative who would like to have a meeting with them. Later, while on their way home, Sheldon mentions that he's hungry. Raj suggests they go eat at the Cheesecake Factory to celebrate. Sheldon likes the idea. The Cheesecake Factory is quite central to the show as it is where Penny worked. This is where Bernadette was introduced to the show and the group. This is where Sheldon and Amy pretty much solidified their bond. The Cheesecake Factory is essentially how we got to know the female's past. After dinner, the group go their separate ways. Penny and Leonard arrive at the apartment and Penny finds herself exhausted after the long climb up the stairs. It becomes clear to the both of them that this struggle will only worsen as Penny's pregnancy progresses. Leonard revisits the topic of them moving out of the apartment and into a house. Penny, being a tough Nebraskan, tries to brush off her struggle. Leonard gives further reasons why it makes sense to move out. Penny is worried that the apartment means so much to Leonard and Sheldon and the group, but Leonard assures her that he's ready to move on. Penny finally agrees and they start looking at house listings online. They're starting a new journey in their lives. They do not need to be here anymore. Having Leonard and Penny move from the apartment will allow us to acknowledge the 8th character in the show, the apartment itself. The apartment has always been there. It is where we started this journey. This is where the group grew from 2 to 4 to 5 and finally to 7. The apartment has always brought everyone together and made them, as well as us, the viewer, feel safe and secure. We need to say goodbye to apartment 4A. Back at Raj's place. Now, in our previous storyline, Anu had asked Raj to move to London with her. However, Raj asked her to give him time to think about it. Now, after the trip to Sweden, Raj is telling her how amazing the entire experience was. Raj tells her that he's thought about it and yes, he is ready to move on. He is ready to see the world with his wife. By doing this, Raj's decision seems less impulsive. Having had a chance to step away from Pasadena has given him a new perspective on life. As viewers, not only will we be impressed by his maturity and growth, but we'll start to see that Raj's journey in Pasadena is coming to an end. He's starting a new journey in his life. He does not need to be here anymore. At the Cooper household, Sheldon and Amy are preparing to go to bed while basking in the moments and the memories of Sweden. Amy is excited over the invitation to Harvard. Sheldon, however, brushes it off aside. He doesn't feel anything can eclipse the moment he's had to shine. At the Wallowitz household, Stuart catches Howard and Bernadette up on the trauma the kids and Bernadette's dad put him through, much to Howard's amusement. This then brings an end to Act 1, where we have established a good mood for the episode. Everyone is in high spirits, things seem to be going great in everyone's lives. However, we gotta throw everything at this episode to make it memorable. We need a range of emotions from our cast, so these good vibes will be shattered by introducing some emotionally taxing conflict in the second act. The second act, into the conflict. The next day, while at Stuart's comic book store, Raj tells Howard about his call with Anu and that he's decided to move to London with her. Howard doesn't take the news well at all and tries to talk Raj out of it, even reminding Raj of what Anu did earlier on in the season when her ex came to her place. This disrespect angers Raj, who screams all of his frustrations out at Howard and storms off, leaving Howard embarrassed. We then move back to the Cooper household where Sheldon and Amy are on a video call with the Harvard rep, who offers both of them the opportunity to work alongside some of America's greatest minds, along with massive pay increase and almost limitless budget. This offer excites Amy, but Sheldon doesn't seem so happy because, as we found out when Amy changed her looks in a previous episode, Sheldon dislikes change. He tells Amy he will not accept the offer and that he expects her to do the same. Amy tells Sheldon she doesn't think she can do that, and that Sheldon should take her feelings into consideration as well. Sheldon storms off, leaving Amy confused. Later on, Howard arrives home in a bad mood, confusing Bernadette. Stuart tells Bernie what happened at the comic book store. After this fight with Amy, Sheldon ends up at Leonard and Penny's apartment to vent about how ridiculous Amy is being and wanting to accept the offer. While complaining to Penny, Leonard walks in and accidentally mentions their plans to Sheldon. Sheldon, incensed, tries to invoke a rule in the roommate agreement that prohibits them from leaving, but Howard tells him that the time for fun and games is over. He needs to put his wife and child first. Sheldon, furious, leaves the apartment. Stuart starts moving his belongings into Denise's place as they excitedly look forward to the prospect of a future together. At the Caltech cafeteria, the boys are sitting having lunch, but the mood is tense as the boys refuse to talk to each other. Sheldon asks why Howard and Raj aren't speaking to each other. Leonard tells him that they had a fight because Raj is moving to London. Sheldon promptly gets up and leaves the table as all this change is just getting too much for him. We then cut to the ladies having lunch, discussing the problems that they're having with their feuding husbands. They also acknowledge that they're fearful of all the changes that are happening. They take a trip down memory lane, reminding them of how much their friendship has grown. Later on, while recording an episode of Fun with Flags, Sheldon sarcastically mentions Amy betraying him by wanting to take up the Harvard offer. Amy, fed up, stands her ground, telling Sheldon that she can no longer enable his childish behavior. She reminds him that she has supported him through everything and that her mind is made up. She is leaving with or without him. Because this fight went out live, we break up the tension with a call from Kripke, mocking Sheldon. Back at the Wallowitz household, Bernadette talks to Howard to understand why he feels the way he does about Raj leaving. After Howard points out to Bernadette that he believes Raj belongs here, she reminds him that he cannot hold on to Raj any longer. Raj needs love, he needs to be with Anu, and if Howard is a true friend, he wants Raj to be happy. Howard needs to let Raj go. Leonard and Penny send out texts to the group informing everyone that they'll be moving out in a few days and that they would appreciate some help. After Amy reads this text to Sheldon, he gets up and tells her that he's going back home to Texas for a bit. Sheldon, feeling betrayed by Amy, Leonard and Raj, decides to take a train ride to Texas for a few days. This gives us one last opportunity to revisit Sheldon's love of trains. You see, although our episode started off with euphoria and good vibes, we now have a massive tonal shift as conflict has entered the episode, threatening to split the group forever. The final act. This is the end. While in Texas, Sheldon receives some motherly love and advice, which he stubbornly refuses to accept. However, while fast asleep, he gets a visit from Dr. Proton in his dream. Dr. Proton reminds him that 1. The only constant in life is change, and that, secondly, Sheldon only won the Nobel Prize because Amy made it possible. This interaction and following introspection is great because instead of the finale revolving around Sheldon, in our finale, Sheldon is beginning to realize that the world does not revolve around him. His friends' refusal to heed to his demands makes him realize how much they put up with him over the years to please him. However, those days are coming to an end. He cannot stop change, it is inevitable. Most importantly, if he wants to conquer the world, he cannot do it alone. He needs Amy by his side. The day of the big move has finally arrived and the gang minus Sheldon meet up at Leonard and Penny's to help them move out. This creates the perfect opportunity for the group to get together for one last ride. This is where our roller coaster of emotions kicks into high gear. As Leonard, Howard and Raj struggle to move the furniture, tensions boil between the guys and another outburst breaks out between Howard and Raj. During the fight, Howard finally lets his true feelings out. He admits that he's terrified of the thought of his best friend leaving him. He tearfully tells Raj that after dealing with the loss of his mother and his father abandoning him, he's scared of losing the only family member he has left, his brother Raj. But he understands why Raj needs to leave. Raj, being the biggest softie we know, forgives Howard immediately and promises that not a day will go by where they don't talk to each other. They'll probably even meet up in the metaverse. While the movie is taking place, we take a trip down memory lane as the characters remember the great times they had in the apartment. When used sparingly, flashbacks are a great way of achieving this. We are reminded of what the cast looked like when they were younger. It helps us to see how far we've come with them and how much they've grown, not just physically but mentally and emotionally as well. Unlike the random montage of clips at the beginning of episode 23, which had no context or emotion, the use of flashbacks in our finale would have a different impact because those memories would be tied to the individual remembering that specific moment. That memory means so much to them, and that emotion would transfer itself to us as we share those memories with them. All of the sadness will be broken by the comedic relief of watching the guys try to find engineering solutions to moving heavy furniture around, struggling but not giving up. We need to see this for the last time because although a lot might be changing, some things will always remain the same. We pass a man standing by the elevator but no one pays attention to this. It is at this point Sheldon walks in after his journey of reflection, seeking the forgiveness of his friends Raj and Leonard. He has come to the realization that his friends have grown up. He can no longer control their lives. If he does not change, he will lose everybody. So instead of wallowing in self-pity and holding on to grudges, he understands that these last moments with his friends are precious. Most importantly, Sheldon apologizes to Amy and reminds her that she is the reason for his success and that he will follow her wherever she goes. This is the redemptive arc that Sheldon needs. After everyone has forgiven him, more hilarity ensues as Sheldon attempts to help the guys move the furniture down the stairs, mixed with a few memories of the good and bad times shared in the apartment where it all started. Once everything has been moved out, we are met with a shot of the gang standing silently in an empty apartment. This is where reality finally kicks in. Just like that final scene in The Fresh Prince, this is it. This is the end. To break this painful tension, Raj will mention that he's hungry, to which Sheldon will respond that he's got an idea. Some more comedic relief ensues as we see the guys dragging the couch back up the stairs. When the couch reaches the top of the stairs, the elevator opens, with the irony being that the elevator finally works just as the guys are moving out. We finally get to see why the guys were moving the couch back up the stairs as we cut to the final shot of The Big Bang Theory. A shot of the group enjoying supper together in apartment A for the last time. Now, instead of feeling forced, it feels earned. The roller coaster ride of emotions that you felt throughout the episode, the joy, the frustrations, the laughter, the sadness, everything they went through has led to this final moment right here. You see, earlier on I mentioned that the original finale was about Sheldon only and the rest of the gang didn't really contribute to the events of that episode. However, by writing our finale this way, everybody's actions in the episode in some way lead directly to this final scene happening. Because of Penny's pregnancy, Lena is able to convince her that they need a more suitable home. Because they need to move out, they have a reason to bring everyone together one last time. Because Leonard stood up to Sheldon, the final events of the apartment can take place. Because Bernadette was able to help Howard see just how much Raj needs his support. Howard sees the need to patch up with his best friend. This makes the hijinks during the move more hilarious because we've diffused the tension we've built up. Because Amy gave Sheldon an ultimatum, this forced Sheldon to look into himself. This ultimately drives him to make up with his friends and join in helping the move. And finally, because the move made Raj hungry, this gave Sheldon the idea to bring the couch back upstairs so that they could enjoy this final moment together. This wouldn't have happened if Sheldon wasn't there. Everybody played a part in driving the plot to this point. What makes this even more emotional is that in the back of your mind, you know that when everybody wakes up tomorrow, everything will have changed and they will no longer be in each other's lives and fade to black. You see, now we've addressed all our concerns, we've tied up all the loose ends, and we've given the audience a clear reason as to why the show is coming to an end. Because everyone is headed on a new path in their lives. They have outgrown this place. They do not need to be here anymore. Most importantly though, we've given the viewer an opportunity to say goodbye. Well, almost.
Well, how would you guys feel about going to India for my wedding?
Oh, that's so exciting!
A year later, we joined the group in India at Raj and Anu's beautiful wedding ceremony to give Raj the happy ending he deserves. So what do you think? Am I right or wrong? Do you prefer the original finale? Were you happy with the ending the writers gave Raj? Please comment below and tell me how you would have ended The Big Bang Theory. So this was my very first YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I had a great time putting it together. You see, I used to think about this kind of stuff a lot, but I didn't really have anyone to share these thoughts with. So please subscribe because I've got so much amazing content coming. My next video is going to be a superb breakdown of Two Broke Girls, so please don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave your suggestions for finales from other shows that you enjoyed or found disappointing. Let's break them down to see whether they captured the essence of the show. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.